Hi, Suman. We're really very happy to welcome you to the Sales Women Mentoring Talk Show, which interviews inspiring women from various fields. Sales Women Mentoring, as you know, is a community to inspire women to sell better, to sell more, and to make them the best they can be at selling. And we have the best mentors, sales experts, leadership coaches who are there to guide and mentor young women on their journey towards being better salespeople. So, really very excited, delighted to have you with us. And we'll start with a brief introduction so that the people who are listening to this show can know what are the various hats and roles that you're wearing and juggling with so much of ease. So, Suman, for the benefit of the people who are listening to this interview, is the CMO of Global Gyan. She's an expert content creator, a marketing leader, and she's also the host of a very interesting talk show on YouTube, which is called Not Just Aunty, which focuses on inspiring women who've achieved great things in various fields. And she's interviewed 10 very inspiring women and learned a lot of lessons from them, which she will be sharing with us and the insights she's gained. So, really very interesting profile. I've been reading so many of your articles too, Suman, on how you got over the fear of the headstand and how you managed to do the headstand despite having a wrist injury and so on. We'll just get into those discussions later on. So let me just start with welcoming you once again and with the questions straight away.
Thank you so much, Chitra. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor to be invited to your channel. I have been following you as well. And I think a platform for mentoring women in sales is just something extraordinary. And you're on my interview list, as we have discussed earlier.
Great. It looks like a mutual interview committee, but nevertheless.
Actually, it's mutual admiration.
Yeah, I would say that I'm all admiration for you too, because this is the need of the hour, right? We need to put women out there, and especially older women, because somehow when you reach 40 or 45, you're kind of written off. And as it is, women are not very assertive or confident about what they should be getting in life. They don't negotiate confidently for what they deserve in life and at work. We know that. We've seen it all around us. Even in leadership positions, we hesitate to ask for what we deserve. And especially as we get older, we are kind of relegated to the background, and people think that there are no more achievements or greatness which is lying ahead of us. And we both know that we are in the 40 plus, I'm in the 50 plus category, and I've started this community last year. So in 2021, it's just been 6 months. And it is India's first and only community for inspiring women to sell. And the reason I'm saying inspiring women, because all women, whether they are entrepreneurs or homemakers or whether they are corporate professionals, require to be good at selling their personal brand as well as their product or service. So it is meant for all women. So let's straight away get into this. My first question for you is that you are handling so many roles. You are already CMO at Global Gyan, which is a full-fledged role handling such a large team. In addition to that, you're also the creator as well as the host for Not Just Aunty, which is just 9 months old. And I have seen that you have a huge fan following on YouTube. You're also a yoga expert. You do so many things. You are a published author. You've written Bag It All, and there are so many other books which we'll talk about. How do you manage to juggle so many roles with so much ease?
Okay, so I'll tell you about the yoga bit. So yoga I do to keep fit, and it was during one of my maternity breaks that I actually, because I was so fascinated by the science, I was so fascinated with the positives that I experienced, that I wanted to go deep into the science, and I pursued an advanced teachers training diploma from the Yoga Institute, Mumbai. I did try teaching because I thought it would give me the flexibility I wanted, but it was not for me. I didn't enjoy teaching. That said, when it comes to the other questions you asked about balancing the CMO role and Not Just Aunty, so marketing and content is my bread and butter. So I need to do a job to, make the finances. Yeah, to for the bread and butter. But again, Not Just Aunty is a labor of love, and for a lot of the ideologies which I believe, I just felt that there was no channel or there was no media interest in what women have achieved over the age of 40. So I'll give you a couple of examples. One of my friends, who is again one of the featured guests, she lost her son at the age of 7 to a rare disease. And instead of wallowing in that grief, I mean, of course, the parents did experience the grief. She realized that there is not enough information about certain rare diseases in even in a metro like Mumbai. And so she went to hospitals to help and counsel other people. And when she reached central Mumbai, when she saw these outside Tata Memorial, which is a cancer specializing hospital, and she saw people coming from villages and in acute poverty, and they were sleeping on the footpaths. So she started distributing free meals, and today she's distributing free meals for almost 2,000 families of patients twice a day. And it's not a joke, the kind of resources and the manpower and the funding you need to pull off something like this. And another case which I had in mind was Nika. Like today, Falguni Nair is all over the news because of her IPO, but she actually started Nika at the age of 50. And there are so many such stories. Another of the, Sonia Kulkarni, another guest I featured, she found herself as a single mother of two young kids 24 years after she was married, and she had to start from scratch because she had an EMI to pay, and she's heading a PR firm, a very, very successful PR firm. So I just felt that these stories were not being told, and it was a need of the hour, because a lot of people need this content to inspire themselves. I mean, how many books can you read? Like when you have these examples living in and around you, I think it serves as a much bigger inspiration.
That's really nice. Women need to own their voice and they need to speak up more, and you're providing a platform for them to speak up. That's really wonderful. And I'm also very, very impressed with the people you've interviewed and the work you're doing. So tell us a little more about your Not Just Aunty journey. You started 9 months back, and how did the idea come in, and how did you grow? How did you decide on just starting this off? How was the whole story?
Okay, so I have two children, and when my children were born, I had no choice but to step back from the corporate world due to a missing support system. But I'm a person who enjoys the challenge and the camaraderie of a full-time workplace. That's just me. And also, and I think this is important not only for women, it is also very important for anyone, that you have to be financially independent. And that said, it's not that I needed to work, but I just wanted to work. And I just found that even like when I took these breaks, not everyone, I mean, I think it's biologically impossible to go back to your workplace in 3 months of maternity leave. It's absurd, if a person is really honest about it, whether it is a male or a woman, and they see that how much the child needs the physical presence of the mother, and the mother equally needs to be around for the child biologically. I'm not even going into the emotional aspect. Then I think it's unreasonable to expect mothers to come back within 3 months. But that said, I was very acutely aware that I'm not in a Scandinavian country. I'm not, I'm not part of the Nordic nations where motherhood is so respected and there is so much of family support given to young mothers and young parents. So when I did go back, as in I took a break of a year for my first child, the break that I took was being viewed as, you're out of touch and you've taken a break, and I was literally, many companies where which I interviewed for, I was made to feel sorry that I took that break. And that was, again, the first part of the experience. And I had, it was, and I just, by the time I had my second child, I realized that this is just an arm twisting tactic by the HR to ensure that, you get a well-qualified, experienced person for less. When I went back to work the second time, I realized that these breaks are more to arm twist into a lower salary. And I was constantly being told I'm out of touch. So then I just went on to do an MBA. I said, because I'm a postgraduate in mass communications previously from Xavier's Mumbai. And I felt that, okay, if I'm indeed out of touch, let me just go and get an MBA. And I did that in my mid-30s. But also, by the time this was over, I was 35, and I was raring to go. Again, kids are small, okay? Like kids don't just grow up overnight. And this is the thing about most women around me. I was just observant with what was happening around me. So a lot of women didn't want to have kids because, they knew that their career was going to get derailed. A lot of women were leaving their kids in daycare and the kids were getting neglected. And again, you do it this way or that way, there will be issues if
No right answers. Yeah.
not hands-on. So I just realized that I have spent the early 30s taking care of my children, and even as parents get older, like if you look around, again, it's the lady who's the primary caregiver. So then if I want to go back to work after 35, I saw a lot of resistance to employ or even consider women above the age of 35, 37. And this is when I spoke to a couple of friends in the HR field, like senior people. I mean, one is the head of the biggest recruitment firm in Switzerland, and another one is the head of a placement consulting firm in Bombay. And both of them, one is a male, one is a lady, and they both of them said that, there is this unwritten bias to recruit anyone above the age of 40, above the age of 35. But if you're recruited, it will be only because you have got consistent and unbroken experience. So in fact, they were my friends who were just talking to me over lunch, and I just got so irritated. I said, how many women can, show continuous tenure in a company? Like, you don't want the woman to give birth. You don't want the women to do whatever the whole conditioning and the culture expects them to do. You want her to just keep staying in the workplace. And then you make her feel sorry that she's taken a break. If she does, if she's having her children on time, or even later it becomes worse. You're not only dealing with biological complications when you're having your kids over 40, it's like it's the end of your career journey. So I just felt that there's a huge amount of injustice in this narrative. And I wanted to cover the stories of women who have succeeded in spite of the breaks, in spite of being the primary caregivers at home, in spite of being single parents. One of the people I interviewed, she lost her husband in a shocking accident. Shocking, as in her husband leaves home in the morning, and at 4 o'clock they get the message that he's dead. She couldn't even register that, and she had to pick up her pieces from there. So I just felt that why only, I mean, with all due respect, why only the Sundar Pichais and the so-called male leaders of all these companies are being celebrated? Yes, their journeys have been tough, but what about what women are trying to do in spite of what they do at home?
Right. So for every Sundar Pichai, you also have Indra Nui, and you also have our very own in Bangalore itself. You have Daisy, who's heading Cisco now. She's the first woman president of Cisco India and SAARC. So you do have a lot of women coming in and inspiring others. But I agree with you that it's not an equal world for women. And that is why there are people like you and me who are trying to create a more equal world and trying to support women in that endeavor. Right. So you talked about biases, you talked about stereotypes and expectations from women. So it's obvious that women have it more tough. Do you think that we have to work twice as hard at the workplace and corporates, or even as entrepreneurs, to prove ourselves?
So Chitra, I would say that it is you're working against a perception that women, ये तो इसका दिमाग तो घर पे ही है. I mean, if I can use Hindi ki, she's more concerned with her kids' football session, or she's more concerned. So that is a perception. That said, I have faced very little of this, because when I was in the workplace, I was mentally there. But I learned very early that you shouldn't be talking about your personal issues at the workplace. And because this is a perception, maybe because I had very good friends in HR, and who always told me that manage your perceptions. And lot of senior management people will never bring their problems to the workplace, and they will not even say what is going on. They will probably just take leave. But children are not raised in one long leave. It takes a village to raise a child, and I think this is a constant challenge which women are experiencing, because again, in the very rare case that the lady is earning more than the man, which is again a result of a lot of perceptions and responsibilities which women have at home. Because the male member is earning more, it is always a lady who will say कि चलो मैं जाती हूँ बच्चे को pick up करने के लिए, like I will pick up, or I will take the child to the doctor, or I will take the child for the tuitions. So because one of the parents has to have home as a priority, I think this perception is, fought by women through the beginning till the end. And you mentioned Indra Nui, she is no exception. She has quoted an example of how she came home after being appointed CEO of PepsiCo.
Yes, it's very famous. Yeah.
Yeah, and her mother said, go on and get the milk.
Yeah. Yeah, I do
So-
remember that. I do remember that. What I meant was despite all the stereotyping and expectations and the biases, she did make it to the top. And there are many more such heartening stories, and they should serve to inspire us rather than, go back. What we would like is more women to go forward and achieve leadership positions. Right.
Yeah, so my attempt is to, through the channel, to highlight these stories that
Right.
people are doing excellent work,
Right.
with or without corporate support, with or without brand support. And brands and corporates could only benefit by embracing these cases.
Absolutely. It's not like pregnancy or a break removes all the experience, the knowledge, the talent, the skills, and the education you have. If at all, it adds to it, because you become.
Yeah, I mean, you become an expert at multitasking.
And also you become more nurturing because you have to be empathetic and nurturing in order to be a parent. And you learn all those skills. As a manager, it's not important just to be task driven or goal driven. You need to be focused on people too. And I think that side of you comes out more. And naturally, women are their nurturing side, their collaborative side, their ability to work in teams is much better. And it only improves as they become parents. Now, coming back to your and my favorite topic, which is women above a certain age, 45 and 50. Do you think that menopause, and as the name suggests itself, in my opinion, it's a very negative sounding word because it looks like a pause on life and a pause on everything which you really enjoy or are happy about. It shouldn't be pause. Actually, it should be the start of something fresh, something new. So do you think that menopause actually brings a pause to women's lives, or do you think that it leads to a fresh start and a new beginning for women?
Okay, so Chitra, I think are you asking me this question because of that interview on my channel wherein I interviewed Dr. Tushna Menon. So again, I would urge a lot of people to go and watch that interview because I have seen, again, I'll just clarify that I'm 45 years of age, and I've seen women of my circle, they get distraught at the idea that, menopause is close, or we are already in the phase pre-menopause, which is called perimenopause. Yes. And a lot of symptoms start showing, like you will feel a loss of stamina at times. It's not a permanent situation, but you will, there are small symptoms, or, your periods start getting irregular. So again, I do not want to comment on this as a medical doctor because she commented best, but I think women should embrace it as a new phase, just the way you embrace menarche, or when you, not menarche, when you start menstruating.
You embrace the start of menstruation, yes.
Yeah, the start of menstruation, the way you embrace pregnancy, I think this is a new phase which should be embraced. Why? Because again, you don't have to plan your trips basis your, like we do, basis your periods. You don't have to plan so many things. You're actually free of it. And again, as the gynacs will tell you, that there will be a burst of energy when you're not dealing with periods, so to speak. In fact, I have written the biography of Nina Lekhi, in which she herself has said that if women, if I have a choice between recruiting a woman for a position and a man, I will always choose the woman because women are so good at multitasking. And she actually walks the talk. She has lady peons in her office, like, serving chai. Like the normal perception is, tray uthane ke liye humko aadmi chahiye. But she's like, no, she's saying, do you know what's the weight of a matka of pani, which the woman fills at home? A tray is like child's play for her. And she's like, I want ladies because they're so nurturing. So in Bagot, they used to distribute salads in the evening, just to promote good fitness levels. And they used to have yoga. So the ladies used to, with a lot of love and affection, they used to peel the cucumbers, and they used to go and check up on kids who are staying late. And I mean, it's amazing. So it's just a perception shift. It's a mental switch that women can do a lot of the work, which you're not giving them a chance to do.
Right. Some of it, I think, are our own limiting beliefs, right? some of the time we ourselves do not have the confidence in ourselves that we can do it. You had talked about biologically impossible. So in our times, when I had my child, which was a long time ago, 20 years ago, there wasn't even maternity leave, which was 6 months. By law, now it is mandated that you have 6 months of maternity leave. We had 3 months of maternity leave, and I don't want to mention the name of the bank. It was one of the best private sector banks in the country. I had all support, except for the fact that the maternity leave was only 3 months. And I remember carrying my 3-month child to the office because I was offered a new position as branch head, and I took over my branch and inaugurated it. My child was in my arms. I had thoroughly wonderful time at that time. And I must say I'm one of the lucky few because I had a very supportive ecosystem around me. My husband used to work from home quite a lot because he was in sales. And therefore, we managed that phase quite beautifully. I'm not saying everybody can do it, but it is possible. And we had time to, I could go back and feed her, and no one in the office, my boss or anybody else, would even question me as to why I was not in the office at those times. So those were the policies in the bank at that point in time, even 20 years back. So I just feel if more corporates were to come forward and have more work timings and policies which favor, in fact, a feeding room in the office, or even time to take off and go. I know that there is various apparatus and stuff to aid, making sure that the feed is there for the child. But yet there is a mother's presence which is required. And if we had those kind of policies 20 years ago in a private sector bank in India, I'm sure that a lot of corporates can have more women-friendly workplaces, which would enable them to juggle both their responsibilities at home and this. That is what we should lobby for. And I'm hoping that through our various efforts, our combined efforts, we will move towards a place which is an environment which is more conducive and friendly for women. Right.
Yeah, so Chitra, I would like to interject at this point that I've worked for some wonderful companies like Reliance Infocom, Radio Mirchi, wherein small children were very favorable to mothers, and
right.
But again, those were 50% of the workplaces I have worked in, and not all companies have these policies. And actually, right now, when I'm talking about NotJustAunty, it is not only for the younger generation, because if you have a support system, which a lot of people do, like as you said, your husband was working at home from home, you can go back earlier. But in fact, work from home now, thanks to COVID, the lockdowns, people have become much more open-minded. I remember, again, I can't name the organization, but I remember requesting my organization that I am in the content space and I have never missed a deadline in my life. So I kept saying that, let me work from home. Let me send you a report morning and evening, because I have seen a lot of best practices in other countries. And I felt that this can be implemented. This was before it was forced on us by COVID.
Right.
But there was no culture in India for work from home.
Yes.
And
in India, actually, if you are available 24/7, 365 days a year, it is applauded, and you are given awards as best employee and so on. Work as worship is good, but then you need to have a balance, and you need to integrate work as well as your life and have time for both. Otherwise, there's a burnout, and we are seeing that all around us, right? So, yeah, you are right that we need to go a long way. But I'm sure that with the steps we are taking, we will get there.
Yes.
Right. So coming to the next question, of all the women you've interviewed some 10 women in your channel. What have been your learnings, and what has been most inspiring insights that you've got from your interviews with these women?
Okay, so again, I can't there have been so many insights, Chitra, it's difficult to put into one answer. But from my first guest, Gandhali, who, she took almost a 10-year maternity break. She said a very, very important line that, I am equal to my husband and I could have done so many things, and I chose motherhood. I chose to be a stay-at-home mom. So it's not because, I'm lesser. I have chosen this, and this doesn't make me any lesser than my husband. So women should be very proud of making these choices and not feel sorry that they're not in a corporate space. Then from Rashmi Bansal, the well-known author, I learned that, she said that how you can reinvent yourself at any age. And, she uses a certain way of writing, which she's been given a lot of brickbats and a lot of criticism for that kind of writing. And she's like, I don't have to please anyone. I have such a huge following for the kind of writing I do. So if there are some people who don't like it, so be it. And then from Shweta Mani, again, a person who is a really dear friend, and she had shared in a private group on how she was cheated out of her status as a founder in a company. So she said women should be ready to be disliked. Like, we are taught from childhood that we should be liked. And so we don't ask for paperwork when we are founding a company. She's saying, I was so naive. I put 3 years of my time, labor away from my husband because her husband was in another city. And she said, instead of joining him, I put 3 years of labor, but I couldn't bring myself to ask for the paperwork as a founder. So she like, just let go of this fear of being liked all the time and stand up for yourself. Then, as I said, from Dr. Dhanashri, who lost her husband in a horrific accident. So she went back to work on the 5th day of her husband's accident, because she said, I was like beginning to lose my sanity. I was not able to, assimilate what had happened. And she said rituals are less important. She said there are other people who can do rituals, but I needed to get my bearings back, and I needed to go back to work, A, to support my family, and B, just to, heal myself. So again, like, I feel that each of my guests have like shared something unique about their journey, but their struggles are much the same. They've turned adversity into opportunity. And I also like, again, Sonia, a person who, after 20 years of marriage, she had to pay the EMIs for her houses and take care of 2 very small children. So these women have hardened themselves, because of the experiences that have happened to them. And sometimes it was choices they made, and sometimes it was accidents or experiences that they were thrust into. But what I have seen each one of these women doing, and I think this is a forte of women at large, is that they learn and then they soften for the world around them. Like, a lot of women in this group are mentoring other women. For example, Dr. Dhanashri was willing to speak to me because she said a lot of people have lost their spouses during COVID. And if my story can help any of them cope, I think it's worth the effort taken. So, they've gone through adversity, they've been left out in the cold, but now they want to help other women who are in their ill. So this is what I find most inspiring about the women.
Right. Women supporting other women and holding them up and helping them rise.
Yes.
That's the most multiplier. And I'm sure that more women coming up and helping other women can lead to transformative changes.
Absolutely.
I'm really glad that you highlighted the stories of these women. And through my community also, I'm trying to do the same, help and mentor women so that they rise in their profession as well as in life. Because it's important to have confidence. And somewhere I feel that everything starts with confidence and clarity on what you want. If the choices we make are imposed on us and we accept because we want to be accommodating or you want to sacrifice, I don't think that's then the right choice. But if the choices are made by us out of our own free will, that, okay, I want to give time to my family or to my child because the child is small, then it's a different matter. We should not be penalized for making those choices.
Yes.
But again, a very important point you brought about that they did not let adversity defeat them. Rather, they turned adversity into an opportunity.
And they did not become bitter either.
That's the biggest learning for me, at least. For me, at least, from whatever you said. Because if we allow circumstances to dictate what we're going to do or to defeat us, we will not be able to go even one step further. Whereas if those same circumstances, we can allow it to help us grow and evolve, we can certainly go places. Right. So again, coming back to this topic, you really think that life changes after 50 or what? It remains the same? For a man, I know there is no pause and etc. But do you really think that life changes for women after 50, or it is a mindset or a belief?
See, like I said, Chitra, it's conditioning. And if you speak to enough doctors, and because I have very, very dear friends and cousins as doctors, so the same thing is happening to men. But again, like whatever the decline, if you, so to speak, like, if they'll say ki she's past her prime after 50, those nomenclatures that she's not with it. So the same thing is happening to men. It's just that men classically and culturally are getting more exposure than women through the years. And like I said, that, if, I mean, I am not anti-men, and I love all the men in my life. I'm married, touch wood, for 20 years. And I just feel that, because I have a supportive spouse, he supported me when I was doing my MBA with 2 children. And so if, men and women handhold each other through the difficult phases of life, they're absolutely on the same track. Like, in fact, if you've read the press release which came out for Not Just Aunty, a lot of the perceptions of women above 50, like, auntie is flying Air India, that's why I don't fly Air India. And auntie has just
that's
started.
a really sexist one, right?
Yeah,
As if you're flying just because
you must have heard this.
the air hostess is beautiful, so I'm flying. What kind of remark is that?
In fact, this is mentioned in this movie Kabir Singh. I don't know if you've seen Kabir Singh. Sorry, the original is Arjun Reddy. It's not there in Kabir Singh, but because I'm married to Telugu person, I saw the original because I heard the script was much better, and indeed it was. So in that, a person breaks a relationship because the person who is intending to marry somebody's sister, he says that, oh my God, I mean, the way he was talking about the air hostesses. So they break the relationship based on his sexist comment about how the aunties, are floating around and making it disgusting for him. So again, I'm saying these are perceptions. Like, will you talk about your mother like that? Supposing tomorrow your mother had to go to become a flight purser or an air hostess, would you refer to your mother like that? She is somebody else's mother. Okay, and I'm not getting dramatic over here. I'm just talking about how women in leadership positions are spoken about by those who are either younger or the opposite gender. That I don't know why auntie wants to be in the boardroom. Why doesn't she experience menopause in the bedroom just the way she experienced motherhood?
Right.
So these are sentences which we've heard or read in books or in popular media, because this actually happens in real life. Like, if a lady is giving an opinion, they'll say, "Arey, iska hormones out of balance ho gaya hai." Are you trying to say that men don't have hormones going out of balance? You need to speak to a few doctors to understand what is happening to both genders. It's just that what happens to women is very apparent.
It's very apparent. It's very obvious, right? Because something stops. Something which was stopped. And that something doesn't stop without getting into the specifics for a man. So I think it is viewed differently. But my personal opinion is, as long as women are valued and applauded for their beauty, for their youth and beauty, this will continue. Rather than being valued for our beauty or our youth, we should be valued and applauded for our intelligence, for our capabilities, for our talent. And that is when the tide will turn. Even now,
so well said. So well said.
Women both place a lot of value on beauty, youth. And so when that goes, it's like a woman is worthless. Whereas when she's valued for her inner worth and the talent and the intelligence she has, I think that's when the tide will turn and things will change. And a man is always valued for his strength, valor, courage. You're a strong boy, you're a bold boy. Those are even the adjectives which we use. Whereas for a woman or a small girl, you say, oh, you're so pretty, you're so cute. I think it starts at home, the conditioning and the stereotyping. We need to tell more girls that you're bold, you're brave, you're courageous, you're strong. And that's when girls will grow up to be bold and brave and strong. And boys will also learn that being soft or being emotional is not a weakness. It is just being human. And that everyone is
exactly.
Girl, boy, doesn't
being emotional is part of everybody's personality. It's part of being human. It does not define you.
Right. Right. So we were on this, what advice you would love to give women who have to deal with so many biases, stereotypes, so many obstacles, sometimes personal tragedies, as you had brought out with the women whom you've interviewed. So what is your advice to women who want to be successful despite everything which is going on around us?
Okay, so I thank you. It's an amazing question. And again, at the risk of sounding cliched, because I will share advice which has worked for me. And it's not necessarily original, but it does work, is do what you love and love what you do. And when I say love what you do, I mean that just be excellent at it. Upskill yourself, even if nobody's going to come and take you for training. Train yourself in doing whatever you like to do. Now, there are a lot of people, again, I was one of them for the longest time. So I was good at content, but I didn't know what my calling was. So
Right.
I would say that, keep working at what you can do best, and keep asking yourself this one question. And I've got this knowledge from books like Ikagai. I think that's the way it's pronounced, Ikagai. That keep asking yourself, what is it that you will get up in the morning and do day after day for free? Like
Yes.
for you, example,
Yeah, I'm
taking
doing
for
that. So
example,
I'm living the life I want and doing the
yeah,
work.
your example, Chitra, is like, you are ready to mentor women in sales for free. Like I just read your profile and it's so inspiring.
Thank
Uh,
you.
that you have found that you're the only sales leader in so many big companies, that you're the only senior person in a room in sales, so you want to mentor other women. So
Yes.
similarly, I felt that, and believe you me, I have got this realization only a couple of years ago, that I want to talk about women who have achieved what they have achieved at this age. And I was not able to find that niche actually. Like first I wanted to talk about women at large, but then I saw that a lot of people are already doing stories of leaders under 40. And maybe I found that women are just so few and far between. It's a decimal, it's not even a
Yes.
whole number. And I said that already there aren't women in the 40 under 40, for the reasons I've just explained, because there are so many phases, like the biological clock and the career clock do not match. And then you have aging parents. So if women are doing something in spite of this, I felt this, like I was excited the minute I came upon this idea. And it took a lot of trial and error to reach here. And but like Steve Jobs says, don't give up, just keep striving, don't settle, like don't do something else if you still feel you haven't found your calling. Just keep striving and you will get it one day. I mean, I haven't exactly got it very early, right? So the thing is, keep trying, and you will reach that point where you know that, oh my God, I'm excited about this thing day after day. So that is the first thing. Find what you love, and once you have found it, just be the best at it. Like if today
That's important. Very, very important.
so when I started doing, I'll be very honest, my first interview, when I started doing it, because I've always had a team, I've had video editors, I've had, I've led a team of 20 to 25 people in content. So when, I mean, Not Just Aunty is bootstrapped at the moment. We've had a couple of paid partnerships. The journey has begun, but I had to do A to Z. Like I had to do the video editing. And I remember the first interview took me a week to edit on iMovies, because I didn't know how to use the softwares. But the thing is, I tried, and then I spoke to people. I learned from other people. I used online resources to just get better and better at it. So again, I would say to the generation now, the generation which is over 40, and I would say to all, actually, even like you said, to all women and men, that our parents did not have the kind of technology and the tools that we have at our fingertips now. So it's easy to learn, and I mean, if you go to a training course also, you realize that a lot of the stuff which you're learning in a formal course is available for free on the internet.
That's right.
So just go and become excellent at what you do, and everything else will follow. And make that mental switch. Chitra, I want to say this one thing more to women, is that if you've been in a protected environment, if your dad said you never needed to go to a bank, or you never need to do the paperwork, but make that mental switch, because once you become an adult and once you are independent, nobody's going to do this work for you. You have to learn to do what you need to do to file your taxes.
You have to take charge of your finances.
You have to take charge, like the way Dr. Dhanishri took charge of being financially independent, the way Sonia took charge of being able to, lead a company after her divorce, like her unexpected divorce. And I would just say, like, nobody's coming to save you. You're only going
to play damsel in distress forever.
Yeah, you have.
There are no more knights in shining armor, and I don't think we need them. So even the Cinderella and all the princess stories have changed. We are not waiting for the prince anymore. We need to rescue ourselves. And we need to make sure that,
like, for example, I'll give you one example, Chitra, is that when I took my second maternity break, I felt that my boss, my ex-boss, would call me and say, Suman, take this project, do work from home. I was always scrolling my phone ki, mujhe ek message aayega, mujhe ek call aayega. Nobody is calling you. Nobody
That's
is going
true.
to call
They've
you.
kind of forgotten about you because you're on a break and you're not there.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind. And network, network like the way we both are networking, network with other women, network with other professionals, not necessarily women. Aisa kuch nahi hai. You can
Right.
network with men and just anyone who you meet in your circle, speak about what you do, ask them, be genuinely curious, and you will find gaps which you can fill.
Right. So if I were to just summarize, because we've talked a lot, I think what you're trying to tell women is that they need to upskill, they need to get more knowledge, they need to become the best at what they do so that they are more valuable at the workplace and also in their profession. They need to learn new things. So be continuous learners, do things yourself and network. I think the last point is extremely important because again, we feel that we don't have time. We run from office to home, or even if you're an entrepreneur, from there to your home and straight away dive into the domestic responsibilities. And we don't have enough time to build powerful networks or influential networks, which we can draw upon later. And I'm not saying draw upon only in terms of business leads or in terms of monetary benefits, but I mean, just in case you need help and support, your network is always there. It's very important that you do network. And finally, just to end it, you were talking about all the things which hold women back, right? I think there are 4 demons, which are the 4 M's: marriage, mobility, motherhood, and we've added a last one, menopause. But there are some angels, and I would say those angels are women leaders and women influencers like you, who are all there to support and help other women. And I would put them under 1 M, which is the mentor M. And all of us are there.
You as well, Chitra, you as well.
All of us together, right? So the 4 M's, who are the 4 demons: marriage, mobility, motherhood, and menopause. I think there is 1 M still, which is a support system, which is a lot of women and men out there who are allies, who believe that women have the power and the talent to succeed. So as long as that is there, I think nobody can stop us. So it's been a real pleasure. And I'm sure that our listeners have learned as much as me from this interview. Wishing you all success. May you go from strength to strength. And in the next 9 months, may you become wildly popular. So good luck
Thank
to
you.
Good luck to you. Thank you so much for sparing the time and coming to talk to all of us at Says Women Tree. Thank you.
Thank you, Chitra. Thank you so much. It's been such fun to talk to you. And thank you so much for inviting me on this platform.
Likewise. And we will definitely be in touch and talk again. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Look forward to speaking to you now on Not Just Aunty.
Yeah, on the other side. On the other side. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.